This is the show now. Here we are.
Hooray! Hello, everyone.
Hooray!
Another Sunday.
Another Sunday.
Just to throw
we
them
are
off
for the because we always like to be transparent and so we don't get impeached. We are recording this midweek. Is it midweek? It's Wednesday, isn't it? I guess
Wednesday,
that counts as midweek. In an era when time means absolutely nothing, we are recording this midweek.
Well, it's a social construction, so time does not exist. So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Technically.
That's what it is.
And can I also say that I had my heaters on full belt and I've closed the windows, forgetting that it takes a while for radiators to cool down. And I've got a fucking great big 6-foot radiator behind me that is radiating red hot heat.
You look a little bit sweaty, actually, mate.
I've got a tissue with water on it, so I might be doing my Barry White. I won't be breaking that into song, but I will be wiping my forehead. It is red.
It's depressing, isn't it? Because it's like July and like I'm cold. You know what I mean? I was freezing cold this afternoon.
Well, we had about 3 or 4 days of scorching, didn't we? It was up in the 30s, and then that's
a couple of days or 2 days. Just
summer's over, boys. Yeah.
Yeah, so just so you say, I am fucking literally sat next to a red hot fucking heater with windows closed.
You're going to get some lovely crackling going on. Hungry people will pass by and just snap bits off you. Be like, oh, lovely. Now that the pubs are open.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, let's start with some good news. Trump's getting a good kicking.
He is. He's getting quite a lot of kickings. I think I sent you the story about I think you were aware of it anyway. His niece has written a book absolutely shredding into him. Let me see if I can find that. I just watching Theo again for people who
dripping with sweat.
Yeah, he's actually toweling himself down like he's some crooner from the R&B crooner with a black silk hanky.
Yeah. Like Elvis, like older Elvis.
Oh yeah, you mean like so fat Elvis is what?
Yeah, like Vegas Elvis. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I could get something. Hang on. Keep talking.
Keep talking amongst yourselves.
But yeah, the new book by Trump's niece sort of hypothesized that Trump was emotionally and physically abused by his father. And
really? I didn't see that. I hadn't seen that in the extracts.
I didn't see many of the extracts, but that's what I read something in the Independent or the Guardian or something.
Oh,
that mentioned some liberal, cucked out newspaper, but like
cucked out.
God. Some evil, anti-Britain, rag.
Yeah, exactly.
But they seem to be basically saying that she was doing sort of, pop psychology bit on him, psychoanalysis, saying, oh, well, this is all a damaged child and he's never evolved from being a 3-year-old and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, she was very much sort of telling us what we all knew, but it was just interesting because it was coming from one of your own relatives,
True.
He's a narcissist and it's all for his own vanity and all that sort of thing. That's the only thing that matters is me, him. Yeah. Because it's always weird with it's a bit like Meghan Markle and her father, because obviously from what I gather, her mother is a lovely, well-rounded person, but her father is obviously just selling stories whenever, wherever he can to not even necessarily the highest bidder. Like if the check clears, he'll sell the story. Same with the sister. It's half sister.
Well, she's a clinical psychologist, the author, so it's not
this
like
is
she's
Trump's
niece.
Yes.
Oh, is she?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, she's not like... And actually, when you hear it reported, it's actually quite... It's written almost in a way of a psychologist writing it, right, like a third person. There's nothing, he's a nasty this, or it does feel like a sort of psychological text on somebody, where she's just saying, look, this is what he is, this is why this happened, that's the type of person he is. It's quite clinical.
And she's met the guy, because I don't hold much truck with any of these people who watch him on the news, like the body behavioural analysts. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you can't. Any psychologist worth their salt will tell you, I can't diagnose anyone unless I've been in the room with them and had several sessions asking questions.
She's his niece, so he's their uncle, is it? Is that what it works?
Yes, yeah.
And the old thing was one of them was commenting on his niece's breasts. Like, you've got big breasts.
Who was commenting? What?
Trump. He got out she was in a bathing suit once, and he went to her, basically nice tits. Like, you got great tits. And I thought, that's good from your uncle.
Yeah, but I mean, he said, I think what are widely considered inappropriate things about his own daughter, isn't he? That she's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, that's just on top of that.
Yeah, because parents do say things like, "Oh, my son is handsome, my daughter's beautiful," that kind of thing. But they don't.
Yeah, that's different for your niece. It's not going great tits. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Or saying if or you date your own daughter.
I'd date her if I was. I mean, you could go back to our podcast where we go over that bit.
Yeah, that was very disturbing.
I'd give her one. It's just like,
it's just an, and he does it on live TV. That was the one that got me when he did it on live TV, where she sat next to him, and you go, oh, forgetting like how gratuitous it is. You've got no concept of like this isn't wrong. Like you're even saying it on screen on a show with your daughter sat next to you. And she's sort of laughing it off. Ha, 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 my father's a fucking nutter. But just everything about him getting somebody else to do his exams for him so he could get into another class.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I haven't. I'd only read the.
It was a well-known name.
I had heard rumours of that. So is that true then?
Yeah. So he was known for this guy who got to do it was quite smart, and they said basically at the time those exams there wasn't ID. So you could send somebody in if you had the money. You could send somebody in to do your exam.
Oh God! So it's not even at home.
No, he went in to do the exam for him.
That is
But you get it. Just piles all this stuff piles onto the fact if you go, oh, I know why he is the way he is now because he's hollow, so he constantly has to hold himself up with things. It's just the bollocks. It's just delusion in his head.
But I mean,
everything's fake.
The person, sorry, I'm not getting past it. So the person who went in for the exam for him, did they at least look like him, or was it just a total insult of?
Yeah. Plus, you got to. It's probably he didn't. Well, it was probably the people that were taking the exams were in on the thing. Do you know what I mean?
But I mean, if because I could totally accept very readily that someone would have, well, there was that story I told you about the rich people getting someone to do their exams for them. Yeah. So, but that's at home. And I think also some the examiners were bribed basically to give favour.
Yeah, but but now back to the 60s or whatever. Nobody. If you had money, mate,
that's amazing. Sending in like a
you
decoy.
were buying the college.
There was a thing of people doing having their driving theory tests done by like people, and they were literally paying money. They had a website, and they literally or a Facebook group or something, and you were paying. This was a couple of years ago, and like people, they were literally. I think they were like. Literally, they're like illegal immigrant dudes coming in and doing it for like 15 quid or whatever, and then they busted like a ring or something of them. Yeah, it's really odd. It's like, why bother? Just revise. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah, the theory is pretty easy, isn't it?
Yeah. That's not the hard bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird.
Oh God, I was with somebody behind somebody the other day, and they were just driving at 25 miles an hour with L plates on, and I was thinking, come on, you've passed your test. The whole way I couldn't get around them, and then they pulled straight out.
L plates. That means they're still learning, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, new learner.
P. Yeah, I was going to say P is new.
And
loser.
Yeah. And after about half a mile of sitting behind them, they just pulled out in the roundabout. They just carried on driving straight over a roundabout. The car had to fucking hit his brakes and swerve. And I just thought, so you passed your test. This is the world I live in. You pass the exam, but you're still a fucking moron. Like you can pass exams, but you don't actually know anything. Like I've got to stick to the rules. 25, but they just go straight over a fucking roundabout where a car has to swerve around you.
Through the middle, just over the top.
And I just thought, that's life. You pass the exam, but you can't actually live like a normal human being. So there you go, my dunking on exams.
Yeah, that's true.
What was I going to say? What was I talking about? What was it? Just Trump.
We were just talking about Trump.
Yeah. So if you go back, really, if you think of the things that's happening now with all the social media, and you go back 50, 60 years, you go, oh my God, they were just doing what they want. There was no rules.
Yeah,
if you had money, university jobs, there was no rule. They could do what they were just paying people. And who do you know? Want to get into uni? Yeah, there you go. Bang, top uni. There you go. Come out with you can't do the exams. Don't worry about that. Bang, there you go. Come out of Wharton School with a fucking degree in whatever. And just, it must be hard for him because you think like we're trying to sue people to keep all the exams free here, keep this away here, keep that way here. He's constantly in a fight to sort of hold up that shell that he is. Just this fragile eggshell.
Putting out fires everywhere.
He's got to throw out constantly, keep everybody away. And it's just watching the telly for what are they saying? What have they found out about me? What do they know? You go, fucking hell, that's a hard life. Like, it's the easy bit is going on the TV. But when he has to go back to himself, that's what I
wonder. Do you think that genuinely, I'm sure we've all met never mind the president. We've all met people who are totally delusional and just, they'll tell you like, oh yeah, actually my dad beat up, I'm being totally silly here, but my dad beat up Arnold Schwarzenegger one time, and actually he's this and he's that, and you go, yeah, whatevs, and then they go home and they're just like, well, I just lied to try and sound cool. Does he?
Well, they said, no. They said why he's actually. He said most sociopaths and narcissists. He said they're not actually dangerous people. They're just annoying. Somebody, the psychologist said, why he's dangerous is because he knows he's insecure. So he's not a delusion in terms of.
He's also dangerous because he's got the nukes.
Yeah. I mean, he's actually got power. Yeah,
you could be delusional, but then if you know you're full of shit, he said that now because it's an inbuilt anger at other people. Yeah. So he's definitely, and that's what that anger and racism and all that is, because it's hate. Because he has to keep, he's scared of being found out. But if you're delusional, you just get on with it. Half of Hollywood are going to be fucking narcissistic sociopaths that just go forward. But he's riddled with insecurity because everything's a lie. If you're a Schwarzenegger type, and you started bodybuilding, you did that, and you won that, and you did this, and you got this drive. You're a narcissist. You don't care. I mean, if you watch any documentary about him, they always say Schwarzenegger's somebody that'll be shaking your hands under the table and giving you the finger under the table, like he's two different people. But there's no insecurity there. Whereas Trump, his whole life's built on lies and insecurity. And that's why
it'd be fascinating to see his reaction if and when he loses the election.
Trump and Schwarzenegger, I mean, not being funny, but they're both sort of narcissists in their own way. But if you're insecure, you make yourself feel better by bringing other people down. If you're just an ambitious narcissist, you just go forward. I'm better than everyone. But if you're that hollow, then you can't. You're never going to achieve anything. All you can do is bring people down beneath you to make you feel better. Hence the racism and the blah 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 blah. Oh, Charles is feeding himself.
I know. What's he on? The Bombay mix?
Marshmallows.
Yeah, it's got that sort of motion to it. It's got that motion to
that
it.
The Bombay mix, like a bird feeding, like a mother bird feeding it. But it's
what are you eating?
Baby marshmallows.
Baby marshmallow. I've never heard of baby marshmallows.
I mean, I'm not saying that you should probably have a more substantial, nutritious dinner.
Okay.
Little tiny ones.
Are those? Did they come like that, or do you have some cereal that those come in and you pick out? Are you picking out the marshmallows?
Yeah.
Get rid of that all brown. I don't need all that shit.
It's been hours. Do
you sieve it like gold? Do you gold sieve to get all the marshmallows out and throw the rest in the bin?
I mean, are we also going to address the crocodile in the room, Charles's giant cuddly toy crocodile that he's had all this time?
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not a secret. It's not a thing that we weren't talking about. The white elephant.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a euphemism or something else.
Yeah, the crocodile in the corner.
Is it wearing a mask?
Yeah, well, yeah. We've.
I can't see.
I mean, we're also ignoring the fact that Theo is fanning himself. I feel like this episode, if you are going to watch, we keep saying it now because of the crocodile. Like, you should
take an LSD tab and watch. Look at that. I mean, if you want to watch
Theo. So again, for people listening who only listen, Charles is now showing us a very nice close-up of the frog / crocodile, crocodiddly.
Yeah. He's a trans.
With a mask.
Don't identify him. He's not identifiable by a label. Don't label as him.
No, he prefers.
He's amphibious.
It is a gentleman though, isn't it? With the bow tie and everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it might not be. That's trans. That's trans. You're not allowed to say that. Could be a woman just as a man. I
talk to so many old people now who are like, oh, like if I'm working, like when working at bars or whatever, like I'm like, oh, to an old person, oh, you're being served or whatever, and they go, no, don't worry, the lady over there, the girl over there is doing serving me, and then they stop. Now I know what they're going to say. They're going to go, can't really say that anymore, can you? And I'm like,
right, yeah.
What? And like, it's obviously a lady dressed in a long lady hair and lady clothes, speaking in a lady voice, and they go, "You get in trouble if you call a lady now, don't you?" And I'm like,
yeah, again, I think it's like I feel like you've slightly like maybe not quite understood the the thing.
Have you been watching Fox News?
well, yeah, and I'm just like, well, it's like, people get in trouble for misgendering people, don't they? And I just always say the same thing. I think, well, I always say, as long as you're not doing it out of hate or spite, you know what I mean?
Everything is context. Everything.
People make mistakes, and if people like just go, "Oh, actually, sorry, I'm actually this," you go, "Oh, okay, sorry about that," and then yeah. If as long as it's not hateful or whatever, you make a mistake or
so long as you're not intentionally misgendering people.
Yeah.
No, a lot of times it's just unknown and confusion. That's all it is. And anybody that's sort of right on at the moment, your kids will grow up and be doing things, and you'll be going, "What's that? What are you doing? I don't understand." Yeah. It's not. It's just new. All it is new stuff that you don't know.
I think most people though appreciate, as long as you say, I've never come across anyone where I've said the incorrect gender. Not that that's happened often, frankly.
Yeah.
I've never had, or on Twitter, I've never seen anyone say it and they just say, "Oh, actually, I'm a he, I'm a she, I'm a they, I'm a them."
You got to understand going in that most people don't know things, and they are going to be a little bit scared about new terms and things. And a lot, plus people,
especially older people, what I mean?
Plus people politicize things, so they ram it down people's necks to make it out more than it is. So, and I think I mentioned this before actually. I remember somebody who was just a sweet old woman, a very kind person, and I remember her having to build a disabled toilet in a shop that only had 5 people. And she was fine with it, but she didn't have the money. And the government came in and said, "No, you've got to build this thing." And she said, "It's going to cripple me financially to get this fucking thing put in." And I watched her over about a year go from not caring to being slightly annoyed by disabled people. And I remember thinking, that's I've kept that in my head for when you start ramming things down people's throat. You better respect me. You better this, that. You go, most people are fine. They're just scared. Don't turn people against you by being nasty and shoving things in their face. You better not do this. You better put a sign up with 10 different labels, or you better do this, because that's how fascism starts. Because you turn good people bad because you ram things down their throat. Most people are just scared, trans, gay, whatever it was. They don't hate you. Most people don't hate you, but they don't understand. But if you start shoving it in their face again and again, laws, change, then you actually turn people against you. And then you get a Trump that comes in and says, "Yeah, all those people telling you what to do, right, let's go against them." And they go, "All right, I don't like you, but I'm going to go for you because you're the fascist and you're going to get rid of them. I'm not doing anything wrong, but I feel like a bad person." And that's how you get a Trump in, because they thrive on people trying to shove things down people's faces.
And well, it doesn't help as well that we have certain sections of the media constantly are building up this case for, "Oh, you're not allowed to say anything."
Yes, that's what I mean. And people are politicising things to shove into people's faces that don't know anything to make you hate you more. So it's just the best thing you can do whenever you're a new sexuality or whatever, just come in and go, "Look, people don't understand anything. I'm going to be polite to that, and I'm not trying to ram anything down your throat. That's it. I'm not trying to take away your this. I'm not trying to take away your that.
I just want to be.
Just don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. That's all I'm saying."
But again, I think most people. If we're going to talk about, we'll focus on trans, but obviously this can apply to any group. But I think most trans people are very understanding of the fact that, for example, if you see a person who has, let's say, a feminine face, wears a dress, has long hair, but identifies as non-binary, you might say you might say she or her, etc. Now, and I think most people are going to go, "Actually, I prefer the term so-and-so." I mean, for example, if we think about our good old friend Tiger King, and I believe, do we have a collect call? Do we have a collect call?
Maybe from Joe Exotic.
We do indeed. I've forgotten their name now, actually, but do you remember the person who had their arm?
Saf.
Saf, thank you.
Saf, yeah.
What's
Saf,
this?
yeah. But Saf that kept being misgendered. So I believe
Saf?
they were the person who got the arm bitten off by like a tiger.
Oh, so what you saw? Oh, hang on, Tiger. I thought you meant the
Tiger
golfer.
King. No, not Tiger Woods. Oh god, the heat's getting to him. The heat's getting to him.
That's going arm ripped off. What the fuck?
But yeah, so Saf was. I actually, this is very ignorant of me, but I actually can't remember what Saf's gender is.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think Saf was
a woman and is now a man.
I think Saf identifies as male. I believe that's correct.
I think she's born, female,
so we apologise. We just can't remember because quite a lot's happened in the world. But there was a bit of controversy, I think, in the programme because the filmmakers and I think even other people who knew Saf were misgendering I'm just sticking with gender neutral because I can't remember which way round. I know that sounds very crude, but Saf was saying, "Oh, it didn't bother me. I get it. It happens."
Yeah.
And I think that is the vast majority of trans people. I think that is the absolute. But what's only going to get reported, what's only going to get tweeted about, is the one person who does fly off the handle.
Yeah, but the problem is, like Charles was saying, somebody saying, "Oh, we can't say that now."
Oh yeah. I think if people go around in an atmosphere of fear, That's not very good.
Yeah, but that's bred by politicians and newspapers and things.
That's what I'm saying.
You'd want to lean back and go, I don't think anybody cares other than the politicians. I think people are just getting on with their lives. But I've been told that they're trying to take my words away. So there, you're being poisoned by newspapers and fucking media.
Well, there was I think I've mentioned it. I think I brought it up before, but there was a thing a few years back about like, we've got to cancel the nativities to not offend the Muslims.
Yeah.
It's always said it's always the Muslims. And someone thought no one had asked, the Muslims at the grand, not like there's a grand big meeting of all Muslims, but no one had asked anyone kind of broadly speaking what their thoughts were on the matter. And I think they contacted the head of the Muslim Council of Britain, and it was the first he'd heard of it.
But this is what I mean.
We don't care. Like, what are you talking about?
We really haven't got to the grasp of like newspapers and media poisoning people for cash. That's all it is. And get rid of the Polish. We like the Polish now. Get the Romanians. They'll be out next, and then there'll be another one. And it's just another hate. We've got to keep hating because we sell papers and sell news. If you keep hating, that's all it is.
And you've got to have someone to blame as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we just can't get over it as a human race. We can't go, this thing is really poisonous in our society. Should we just get rid of this newspaper?
Well, it's fear, isn't it? It's what's
we can't accept it that people make money from making other people scared. Like, we just let it go. It's so odd. Let's get away from that. So Trump's a lunatic. It's even more coming out.
We do know this, yes.
To put a full stop in that, did you see any of his 4th of July speech?
Oh no, I didn't know.
I'll be honest, I didn't make time for that. No, Charles. but go on.
It was one of these things. I think it went on for about an hour, but I watched a bit of it. I watched the juicy part of it anyway. And
did the Mexicans get brought up again, or was
no? It was much more. And I don't often use. I try not to bandy this term around too much because I think it'll lose all its meaning. Potency. But it was certainly sounded very fascistic, and it really did. It was talking about purity and strength and the blood and the soil and the unity and the enemies within, and we must cleanse this land of the enemies,
And that's probably the best he was doing to not sound like a fascist. Like, that was the final script. That was the final version where they go, right, don't sound too fascistic, but that's the best they'd come out with.
Oh, I'm assuming it was intentionally meant that way.
Oh, you think it was actually trying to stoke them now? Oh.
Yeah, because he's trying to lay in his agenda for the next term in office.
Well, that's
really.
why they say
he doesn't have one. So
he's becoming the cornered animal. That's the worst bit because he's got to go, right, I've tried to sort of listen to my advisors and be a little bit this and tying it down a little bit, but when it comes to you're on your last legs, he's got to throw everything at the fire. He's got to throw everyone under the fire. He's got to go back to actual hate because nothing else has worked. So I'm just going to come out and be as nasty and vile as I want. So the last few months, mate, you're going to be iffy if he doesn't disappear to Russia. He's going to be right iffy because the Russians, they're smart. I said years ago, once they knew a billionaire idiot kid came over there to do the women's the beauty pageant. Yeah, you can guarantee they thought, because they think long term, like China, let's just film him while he's over here. You never know. Put the videos in the vault.
Weed on.
Yeah, get some Russian hook because he's an idiot. But you never know. And then over the years, just keep an eye on him, have a little file on him. Oh, he's getting quite powerful. Let's prod him this way. Let's prod him that way. And now they'll be doing the same thing where they're thinking, right, he could have a downfall here. So he's probably not going to get back in. So, we give him what he wants, his ego, his narcissism. He hates everyone. He not cares about America. He couldn't care about one flag to the next. So maybe let's just offer him whatever he wants and say, well, come over here, come over here. And you can tell them, oh, you've been downtrodden. They've been against you. Come over here and talk against your system. Go on RT and we'll give you your own channel. To
get his own show on Russia Today.
And you come and live like the billionaire because you're going to be despised over there. Come over here and live with your delusion. I'm telling you.
it's weird who's got a show on Russia today. The Alexander Salmon, the former First Minister of Scotland, has his own show. Dennis Miller, the sort of classical liberal comedian.
I'm not sure who that is. I mean, I'm not surprised Alexander Salmon, because if anyone will give him an opportunity to enjoy the sound of his own, even coming from us, I'm like, fuck me, that is a man that loves the sound of his own voice and would have sex with it if he could.
And slightly disgraced, dodgy past. Like he
he's
was
not. He's not disgraced.
True. All right. Yeah. No. Yeah.
I hear the sharpening of lawyers' pens.
No. Certainly. Yeah. No. I retract. I make all retractions.
Well, I should say one of the previous Vialucci podcast hosts was an RT presenter, a news presenter, Jenny. Don't know if you ever met her. Did you? No, she had enough of me. I think I swore too many times in one show and she disappeared.
We've all had those.
We've all had that moment. Well, but she's actually great though. I like Jenny. Jenny Hammond. That's it. Wonderful. She's really nice. Oh yeah.
But still, but Russia today.
I don't blame people on the way up. If you're trying to struggle as a presenter, I never blame people.
No.
It's when you can do better and you go, no, I'm actually choosing to align myself with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would struggle to say, unfortunately, because I need money and a job, I would struggle to say no. If Russia Today was like, hey, we got,
what about if they left you alone? So if Russia Today came along and said, right, we like your podcast and we want to put you on there. Because you sort of go, right, okay, the rule is you can't tell me what to say, obviously. I'm not coming on if you're going to tell me what to say. But then you are within it. So is that fine?
Would you lie to yourself and say that you'd work from within to change the system?
No, but technically, you're not going on there to sort of preach sort of partisan politics. They're definitely not. If second you say anything about they're not going to tell us what to say. Definitely not. So if you say, yeah, come on, and you'll just carry on doing what you're doing, are you guilty then or not?
Well, because
it's just a normal show.
Yeah, but you're taking money. Endorsing. Yeah, but by
yes,
by
endorsement.
Even just being there,
yeah.
By even doing that, you're sort of
but
legitimizing it, aren't you? So.
But then, what about sort of wearing Nike trainers? You're endorsing that. Wearing Topshop clothes. It's funny how we pick and choose to.
Yeah, it's very hard not to be tainted by something, isn't it? Unless you're making your own clothes and.
Well, the thing is, there's not really any choices, is there? All the big companies are doing all shit. Like they're all getting cheap labour in China.
Body Shop got
Apple. Do you want to get rid of your Apple phone?
Dodged, didn't they?
Let's get the Apple phone made in America, and it'll be $5,000 instead of the $1,000.
Even like I watched a thing the other day, and they said IKEA was illegally logging or buying illegally logged timber from Ukraine. Like protected forests and stuff. And it's all done. It's like with the sweatshops and stuff, child labor in Bangladesh. It's all done through sort of subsidiaries and sort of it's subcontracted out. So they have nice, clean factories and go, look, it's ethically sourced. But then the people they're getting it from aren't so ethical,
I was listening to a podcast a while ago now, and the guys were saying there was some little town. No, listen, podcasting. Yeah, I know. It's an egalitarian society. That's why it's always so we should always help each other.
I just played with the bear.
I'm the bear. He said he was in this nice tiny little town, and he used to go there growing up. I can't remember what it was. Oh God, it was in America anyway. And he said it's always really peaceful. You go there, there's like the same sort of 30 faces that you'd seen growing up, and he'd go there as a kid every sort of few years. And he said he went back recently, and he said a logging company had moved in, but they have to travel through the town. And he says it is sort of like birds tweeting, and then just this truck goes through the fucking town with all these fucking logs on the back. And he says it happens sort of every 3 hours. It's just nothing, and you sort of relax again, and then this fucking truck goes flying through the fucking town. And he said, "Oh, this is the end of the town. Like they've built the fucking logging firm up there." And he said, "That's it. They've just got to slowly degrade the whole area." I think because of the housing situation, they are going to have to one day knock off all this. The Queen owns this amount of land sort of business, and all these stretching green fields that go on for miles. You go, that's going to have to go, mate. There's no more buildings. You need to accommodate for people. So all this land. I mean, if you drive to the north coast or the east coast or west coast, you're driving past hours worth of just fields, basically. Yeah. And it's not all being used to grow corn and all that. But it's to do with the green belt and all that. Eventually, it's going to have to go, mate. You're going to have to go, look, we can't cram the whole of the UK into these tiny little pockets of towns. Meanwhile, we've got people that are owning like 500 acres per building. It's madness.
Well, they have massively reduced the building regulations. And
they have?
And where you can build as well, because I think it went down from something like, I don't know, 300-400 pages to 15 or something. Like
But
a couple of years ago.
it's this thing that we always sort of scratch around the problem. This is right. I'm in charge, right? Okay, right. First thing, housing.
God help us all.
Housing. Dun, 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 dun. Who put that music over me speaking? This is the problem, right? The housing and all that. It's. We've done this with rats. The more enclosed people are, the more neurotic, the more problems, the more health, the more crime. Is obvious, okay? Mm-hmm. So we need to get over this thing of protecting the elite. This is what you need to do. You need to pick about 10 points in England, and you basically recreate another Vegas. Not in terms of what it does. Stop going, well, we're going to have a...
You mean like you build a city out of nowhere?
A whole new town. You build the buildings, everything will pop up around it. Costa will get their foot in the door immediately, so they'll be the first ones in there. So you just build one big set of, a mile across, thousands of flats, houses, whatever. And you go, right, that's a new town. And then you get all these coffee shops, all the entrepreneurs will surround it. And there you go, you've got another town. It will just take care of itself. And you just do that at 10 spots.
Yeah, but you have to have other work. You can't self-sustain off coffee shops.
No, but it's England, so nothing's going to be more than that far away. There's always going to be...
Yeah, I suppose as long as it's...
If you go,
there's
a thing being built there. Yeah, but that's what I mean. That all will pop up around it. These things don't just happen. A building doesn't get set and then there it is. Once the buildings are being in place, or you even put the railway lines in place first, right? Where this railway line goes through, halfway up, we're going to stick a town there now, and then the big companies will move in, the industrial places.
Almost like the garden cities, like Welland Garden City, all those kind of things that they did. That was in the 50s, wasn't it? I believe after the war.
Yeah, Milton Keynes, Basingstoke, those are all new.
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying use Milton Keynes as a...
Well, they're all kind of horrible.
Hello to our listeners in Milton Keynes.
No, but it will free up.
Nice,
it's not. They're not going into absolute luxury, but it will free up 10 people living in a single house, sharing rooms. Do you know what I mean? Something has to snap here. You can't just keep building on little flats at the side of the other little flats.
Well, my housemate sent me. I can't remember what he was watching now, some program, and he sent me just take pictures while he was watching the TV of some flats in a sort of inside a giant car park in the home base, which is subsequently closed, near where we used to live together in Wimbledon. And he said, "Do you remember that kind of skank? I know there's no nice, they were skanky. Like, let's not say, oh yeah, well they were new build and blah blah blah. Nah, they were kind of rotting and to get." And he said, "Oh, that building that was in the home, but like it's in the middle of this car park." I was like, yeah. He goes, they were using that as council, as housing, as what was meant to be temporary housing. Apparently for Tower Hamlets. I'm like, what, twinned with Wimbledon? How does that work? And, and that's not even the issue. But you go, okay, why? So I think it was Tower Hamlets Council were housing the people. But I was just like, I just thought that was some abandoned offices. It's just this rotting and people are meant to live in that. It's just mad.
There's a lot of places in London where the Peabody estates are, I think.
I'm not sure.
Well, the Peabody Estates, it was a rich firm that was a firm of people that had a lot of money, and they actually gave a lot of housing away to people after the war and things that couldn't own houses. They actually gave them houses. So it's called the Peabody Estate, and so they've housed a lot of people. But then they've been sold off bit by bit, and I think certain parts of London have to have a certain amount of these rented out properties. You can't just buy it all up; they have to legally have certain amounts. And they said delivered to some of these like years ago in the like fridges and freezers, and they were so small that I think this is basically like a small kitchen with like a bedroom. It's a tiny and we can't fit washing machine. You can't get a washing machine in your door because the bloody turn is so small to get it into. And you go, and then I'd drive back from there and you'd go to like Bishop's Avenue, and there's £10 million houses, multiple that are all empty, just sat there with 100 meters of land behind them, sat there for decades doing nothing. And you go, oh my God, it's just like the insanity.
But the thing is, it's never like the squatters. It's never the people who actually need it. It's always John T. McFuckface who wants to, who's decided to rebel against the system and be boho and live in a squat and
pretend that they're not multi-million fathers.
Yeah, exactly. And then when they get kicked out for burning down the house, then they'll fuck off back to jaunty McFuck.
Well, they have now. I think the last 10 years they've had these rental properties where they're empty properties, but instead of leaving them empty because of all the squatting, an industry's built up around it now where I think it's called guardian tenants, where you basically pay nothing. Yeah. You pay nothing. You pay like 50 quid for the month. And you get to live in this big building, but I don't think there's electricity, or there might be electricity. But the thing is, you've got to be, you've only got like a 2-week thing to get out if they need, or even like might be even a week. Like
it's like house sitting then, basically.
And there's nothing in there, and you get a key to the lock, and you just put the lights on and make sure nobody else comes in there. That's all it is, which sort of half makes sense, but it's pathetic that those have got to happen. You see it a lot with like pubs that have been waiting to turn into flats, that all boarded up, and it was say like Guardian rented or something like that.
Okay.
But just it's just the rent, the renting, the six. I mean, you can almost. It's a perfect model of why crime happens and why stress happens and why neurosis happens. When you get a load of people and cram them into tiny little flats and say, right, get on with it. And you go to a rich person, that would be hell. That would be a living hell. But they have to get on with it and go, oh, it's normal life. So again, go up Bishop's Avenue, somewhere like that, and just see these multi-million pound houses that would literally comfortably fit 50 families in them. And just sat there, and that's just one. Unless it's one road.
Yeah. Well, where I used to work in Notting Hill, there were streets, there were whole streets in this very nice posh area, millions and millions of pounds each house, and they were just whole streets they were all empty.
Yeah,
and like nothing. You just see in the windows there's no furniture in there, and that was dusty. You know what I mean? And I was just like,
but it's this thing of like, them over there and that one over there. If you actually just compiled it all and went right, as of today, how many spaces of property? I'd have nothing in them and haven't had nobody living in them. And you go, how? What? In the UK, that's how many? I meant like with people throwing rubbish away, food away in Tesco's. Scarred me for life, seeing somebody pour trays of food into a plastic bag and then going around the back and seeing 4 of these big sacks of bags, pink, but black bags, black bag size, full of food. And saying to the guy, why are they slinging them out? And they say, we're not allowed to sell them after this time. I said, well, can't you take them to like a shelter? Because I live next to a shelter. I said, we're not allowed to because somebody might get sick from it. Yeah. And I thought, that's one point in one night that I've seen one person has seen 4 bags of pastries, sacks, in one small Tesco's, a Metro, on one night. Now, if I just piled that up in a month, in those massive Tesco, if I just piled the food up in the centre of the town, when, right, all that there, we're throwing that away, you would go, there's insanity that goes on in normal culture that it's just left to carry because that's the way things are. Where you go, you'd have to be a lunatic to be part of that society. But you go, no, that's normal. That we can't.
Well, it's also, but again, that goes back to the whole like, we don't want to get, we could do something good and decent, and it's not necessarily their fault that they overstocked or whatever, but we could do something good and give this food away. But because we're so scared of being sued or of somebody pointing the blame and saying, you did this, you did that, because
you need the food and you might starve, but we're not going to give it to you because we might get in trouble for it. I mean, it's fucking insanity, absolutely.
But that's probably not even Tesco's decision. That's probably
I'm not blaming even them.
Bureaucrat,
it's the system,
some tosspot somewhere has decided.
And why does it not happen? Why is it not important? Why are these things not fixed? Because nobody cares who's in charge of this. That's the thing it will come back to. Well, I don't give a shit. Or, well, I'm not going to make money from it. Why would I do it? But you're in charge. Oh, yeah, but you're delusional. We're not doing this because I care about society. I'm doing this if I can get backhanders and money and I can make things. I don't care. Yeah. If you had somebody that said, I don't care about career and all that, I can't sleep at night knowing there's people. I can't sleep at night knowing the housing conditions. I can't sleep at night knowing that food's being chucked away. If you have a caring person, they can't let that go, so it becomes important. It's not important to be juggling around zeros and you making profits. What is important is we're throwing away food, so that has to stop. We've got people living in 3 to a fucking room. That has to stop. I can't sleep. But the people at the top are the ones that care least. So the problems continue because the people at the top, again, another human condition that we can't accept, the people at the top are the people that care the least. So everything's fucked. Oh, let's get off of this.
I was going to say one venue that I worked at quite a bit. We always, at the end of every day, we always used to throw. Again, it's one of these things we used to throw bags and bags and bags of like food, a perfectly fine food, It had just been literally just taken off. It was the end of the night, hadn't been sold. It's perfectly fine, but it's on the hot plate, had to be chucked. And I was just like, couldn't we do something? I kept on saying to the manager and the supervisors, couldn't we do something about this? Can we contact we wouldn't even have to, can we just contact a shelter or a charity and maybe they could come and someone could come and pick this up? You know what I mean? And they said the same thing. They said, oh, well, we can't. And they did have a chat. They had a chat with a couple of shelters, but they said, oh, we can't really take it because, we can't guarantee it's, it's all right or whatever. But they eventually did do a deal where it was being collected for biofuel. Which is something.
What was
the
it?
Food. This was food. This was like,
biofuel.
Yeah,
I mean, but it's scrabbling and it's something. But I'm not lowering my standards.
I'm saying at least it's not going into the bin and let the pigeons have a go at it, in the landfill, whatever. But at least it's something.
I knew people that would go into the back of McDonald's and take food out that was 15 minutes old than when it was thrown out, but then they hadn't had to lock the bins. I mean, to stop the people getting them. Because I don't want you to sue me. I'd rather you died.
Yeah, I mean, or he starved. Yeah.
But it's just nobody. You can't.
That's their hand forced, isn't it? By culture, by this.
Yeah, I'm not blaming the shop. I'm blaming the fucking people that impart these things. I don't care. Stop asking me to care about the food. I don't care. So stop asking me to care because I don't. So I'm not going to fix anything because there's no point. I'm here for my career and to make money, and you can't get it over it. Like that's the reason I'm doing this. But
these PC thugs.
Yeah, and until you. And you can't get them out because of the whole Gordian knot thing. We keep going, the education, everyone's tied in, business and media, it's all tied in. So because they're all getting money from each other, so it serves everybody to keep things the way they are. So it only works when you pull people out of buildings. Go, right, I don't care about your law and your thing, and you're tied to him, and the piece of paper that's got 50 lawyers, right, says you can't on this date do that on that. No, sorry, out you go. Don't care. Go and work on a building site. They wouldn't. Like a friend of mine said, he said, a rich guy said, if they had to live like other people lived, just normal, not like a horrendous state, if they have to share a house with people they didn't know and they had to work in manual labour, he said they'd commit suicide. They wouldn't be able to do it. They haven't physically got the backbone to mentally do that sort of thing. Their arrogance comes from a delusion that they think they're better. No, they can't do it. They can't live like that. They'd commit suicide. So again, we got the weakest and the worst leading everybody else. So then we try and fix all the little bits around the bottom, but the problems all little bottom. Let's start a little charity there and a little charity there. You're doing nothing. You're kicking at the toes of a giant. It doesn't care that as long as the thing keeps getting fed. So carry on voting. Go and talk about voting to your great-great-grandfather. Tell him how much things got better. That work. Go to your great-grandfather and say, voting, that really worked. Has everything completely worked or has it stayed exactly the same? No, it's the same.
I think
carry on voting, kids. Carry on voting for another generation. And then when you've forgotten, your kids grow up and they don't know anything, they'll carry on voting and carry on. And the little hamster keeps running around the wheel.
I don't know. I think my great-grandfather would be very pleased with the fact that I have central heating and like.
Yeah, I thought I went too far back. Too far back. That was my problem. I realised as I said it, I should have stopped at sort of your uncle, maybe.
I mean, my great-grandmother had to work for 6 months so that my grandmother could have an operation to have a what's it called when you have an extra something? So she had an extra toe. She had a 6th toe because it was pre-NHS, so she had to work to pay to get that operation.
Could have been a new X-man. She could have been a new X-woman.
Yeah, she could have fought crime with her 6th little toe.
Well, it is funny. You think about that. We are actually stopping now anything genetically happening, because if you could almost say like dyslexia in a weird world could be a sort of weird superpower if you just thought things in a multiple sort of stream. But I mean, in a normal school, it's going to be bad, and similar that you go, well, maybe the world would be like going off a more creative pace if you just put all the dyslexic in charge. How would it be if you could imagine doing all that and saying, right, so now it's just internal thought, creativity, working at multiple levels, seeing things in different dimensions. What would the world be like if schools were run like that? But you'll stop that, or if some your weird genetic thing pops up, you'll stop that. And it happened. I listened to a book about it, and it was about they were saying why, I can't remember what it was. I think it was in China where there's an outbreak of something. And
bubonic plague?
No,
years ago.
And it was small. It wasn't a big thing. And they said the people in the town survived because they were shallow. Some of them were shallow breathers, so the thing didn't get into their deep lung. And I thought that could be quite. I mean, if you just say corona, imagine if it just wiped everybody out, like it went everyone, and then you had certain people that were shallow breathers. That, you know, some people just breathe shallow, they don't breathe very deeply, and that sort of saved them, that shallow breath. You go, oh, that's how genetics that's how evolution happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But with everything that's going on, you go, no, get rid of that, no, stop that. Imagine if like being what's it called, pollen, when you against pollen.
Oh, hay fever. When
Yeah,
you're
imagine
against, but I am anti-pollen. Down with
Imagine
this
if
sort of
that
thing.
something happened, and then the people that like allergic to pollen thought something was saved from a disease, and those people that were what was it called?
Hay fever.
Had hay fever. You know, because of their biology, that saved them from something else. But that's the way evolution works. But now, anything wrong with you, they sort of knock it straight out. Oh, dyslexic or anything like that. We'll give them a fucking pill. Get rid of that.
Is there a pill for dyslexia?
No, but I meant the other ones. Just calm them down.
The
What's it
other
called?
ones. Oh, ADHD?
Yeah, give him a sledgehammer. That'll shut him up. Yeah, but you got ADHD.
I don't
maybe...
think you want to give someone with ADHD a sledgehammer.
No, I mean, not physically. But you go, yeah, but that guy with his ADHD and thinking all the time, and he went on to invent some space travel thing because he was thinking differently to other people.
But I do think there's a slight fetish. You know, there's so many films are about like, oh, this genius person because they're schizophrenic.
Yeah, I remember the sort of
you go,
you've got that Hollywood autism, which isn't sort of like I struggle to feed myself
they're always
and get through the day,
assassins, aren't they, or
yeah,
whatever?
Or the kid in Predator where he could put on the Predator's helmet and he could figure out.
I was going
I'm
to say,
sorry.
autistic.
What are we saying here?
Predators.
What?
Predators.
Predator
Yeah,
versus
autism
aliens.
was a superpower. Yeah.
I haven't. No, sorry. What? I need more. You
So
can't
one of the
just
Alien versus Predators. I don't know which one it was.
I think it was Predators. It was the new one, or Predator. Predators.
No, was it?
Yeah, it was the
Oh,
new,
is that
new
called
one.
The Predator, wasn't it?
The Predator? Yeah. it was
Oh
The
yeah, you're
Predator.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the guy goes and finds the helmet somewhere, and he ships it back to his son, who happens to open the package, but his son's autistic. But his son puts the helmet on, and he can suddenly read all the stuff in the helmet.
Yeah.
What? Why would what? Why would
What
being
question?
autistic-
Which question?
It doesn't make any
questions
sense.
in order.
I have questions. I have questions.
No, the film doesn't answer them. So
Yeah, it doesn't answer.
So why?
yeah.
So
You basically know everything we know.
didn't the Predators come to take the kids because like their planet was dying and he had like autism superpower
something like
that was
that.
going to save the,
The
Predator
DNA,
homeworld?
yeah.
what are you even saying?
Yeah, it is stupid.
Yeah, no, this happened. This is a thing. It's a Shane Black film. Like Shane Black is I like lots of Shane Black films. You know what I mean? He's
But the
certainly
kid-
much
at
better
one point,
writer
the
and
kid-
director than that. But
They make up the fact that the helmet sort of takes over war. So when you put it on, it kills people that thinks they're a threat. So it, you know
So
that
then,
little shoulder
but
cannon.
the
Yeah, the
whole
shoulder
thing of the
cannon,
Predator was like,
automatically.
oh, you're a hunter, but no,
that's
apparently
got, forget that. So this one, you put the helmet on, and that little shoulder cannon finds danger and shoots it. And at one point, the kid puts it on.
That takes against the point of the Predators.
Yeah, they don't care. That's gone. Every film shits on the one before and says, forget it. We don't care what you did before. That's all over.
well, it's like I think it's like with the Terminator. That these all came out at the same time: Alien and Predator and Terminator, and these are great films, great small
Sort of high concept, isn't it?
Yeah, high concept, high premise kind of things, but there's not a lot of depth to them. And these sequels kept on trying to expand the world and expand the mythos, and there's not a lot there.
But why
And this
why
where
is
it comes
he
from.
being autistic? Make him use that? Can he? Does that mean are they like autistic people? I feel like I've taken crazy pills or something.
No, as
Can
Charles says, it doesn't answer anything. It doesn't.
No,
tell
no,
you.
no.
So they
He
don't
puts
say
the
like,
helmet
oh,
on.
autistic people can read.
Yeah, well, he not even
alien
autistic.
language.
He just puts
So
it on.
it's not even all autistic people.
No,
just
this one young kid
Ah,
that
fuck
puts the
off.
helmet on.
I
I,
Doesn't
just-
he fly the plane at the end or something as well, and like figures it out, something like that. I don't know.
can't remember it. So I blocked it out. But
Yeah, same.
it was just. I mean, there's one point I think when the kid doesn't he kill something. The cannon fires off at, like
yeah, he
some
does kill
bully.
someone, yeah.
But then he starts having to go at his dad because he killed somebody. I'm thinking, hang on, you just killed somebody. What are you talking about? But it's shit. It wipes out anything to do with the other films. There's isn't there a new alien predator race? There's a giant predator, and it turns out that
super
that
big
the
one,
actual predators are small predators, and these massive 11, 12-foot predators that kill the
but
smaller
they did
ones.
that when they did that with predators, didn't they? They were like,
Yeah,
oh,
there's
actually,
another
there's two
race.
species.
But this one, they just created a CGI giant predator that came in that was like fucking 3 times the size. And it was just shit. It's just crap.
I like the idea that the predators that we saw in like Predator 1 and 2 were kind of dickheads. They were like kind of the hunter guys. They were like accountants on Predator Homeworld.
Well, I heard that they were
weekends. They went off to like Earth with like super cool technology.
So they're like they're like all these rich arseholes, like, hey, I shot a giraffe. And
yeah. That was the equivalent. And like all the other predators, like just had like desk jobs and like just normal normal lives, like wife and kids and stuff. And they're like,
so the guys at these are just these are just Republicans.
You had other predators on Twitter going, murderers, you've killed human beings for fun.
Hashtag cancelled.
This wasn't their whole culture. This was just like a few weirdo dudes. And the other predators were like, that guy's fucking weird. He came back with all these skulls.
Yeah. You've been to Larry's house recently? It's just skin and skulls everywhere, like he's fucking Ed Gein. What's going on?
I mean, you would have to have a sort of culture back on their planet where they're getting ready for school. Do you know what I mean? Like normal predators are just...
Because that's...
What do you call us predators? Why do you call us predators? I'm a priest.
He's like, that's nominative determinism, isn't it? Calling us...
But it's like the Klingons, isn't it? The Klingons, there has to be someone to develop the technology and be the school teachers and the farmers.
Well, they do. There are hints to scientists and whatnot. They're often, I'm afraid,
they're a couple.
women.
There are a couple of Klingon scientists, but
they're often women or old people, aren't they? They're often seen as kind of like, you're too weak to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, so there isn't no other. They are a warring race.
They are, everything is kind of broadly speaking. So even the scientists, it's all broadly speaking dedicated to.
So it's sort of like Nazism. It's everything is geared towards war.
Yes,
you could have scouts and they'd be training to load weapons, sort of thing.
I suppose it's more towards our now kind of largely, but the classical view of Vikings of like, hey, we just want to adventure and rape and pillage and go to Valhalla. That's basically what the Klingons are.
Yeah.
I mean, they even have their own version of that. They're like, oh, if you fight and die in battle, you get to go to the afterlife and drink and sing songs. It's very Viking. Stover.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's more Viking.
No, but the Viking was a verb. It's been changed over time. Viking was to go and pillage. It meant to go Viking.
Yeah, I think it's just that. Okay. Yeah, they didn't understand the term.
So now those people that do that thing are Vikings.
Well, they'd be Norsemen, really, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I like Norse mythology. It's quite interesting when you get to Christmas and mistletoe and Loki and all that. It's actually quite interesting.
That's because Loki threw the mistletoe dart, isn't it? That killed Balder.
No, it's a kiss for mistletoe. Is it a kiss for forgiveness? Isn't it? It's a kiss for because he tricks him.
Yeah, because they throw their dart.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you're right.
He kills him because that's the one thing that can kill him. Something I can't remember.
Yeah, so the mistletoe, remember that's a kiss. That's a forgiveness kiss. That's not no, it's just like, come here, darling, at a drunk fucking start fight. Western culture just rip that to shreds.
But I mean, Christianity, co-opted all the festivals, so.
How did we get to Predator?
I'm still...
Autism is a superpower.
Oh, that was it, yeah.
Oh, medication, that was it,
yeah. Because you're talking...
But that's like a toad just bouncing around from stone to pinball.
Welcome to the Vialucci podcast.
The free Vialucci podcast.
Yeah, this is a free
that's just
podcast,
like... But Hollywood's always done this whole thing of like, autism is a superpower, being
they call it Hollywood autism.
Yeah. The Rain Man effect,
Yeah, it's always like that, I can do this because and you just go, well, not necessarily.
Yeah, he can't open a door, but he can read a Predator helmet. So he's got what level of autism has he got?
Yeah, and you're like, what? So he can't open a door?
No, but I mean, like, there's that level of hot autism, or you talk about the autism where you sort of scientifically you can see the universe. No, just normal autism where you struggle and you hit out and lash out at people. Why do you put that in a Hollywood film? Because the kid was just normal, other than, he's got autism. But you don't know it until he puts an alien's helmet on, and then it's like, that's what his autism is.
Forrest Gump, slow, but charm the pants off Nixon. That ain't the R word.
I mean, I will be very cross if I find out you two are just pranking me and I watch this film. Because it sounds
honestly, watch it, because it's so bizarre. It's so weird.
It's just, I was just saying, I was thinking...
I'd heard it was bad, but I didn't realise it was...
No, it's bizarre. It's terrible. Apparently, they reshot a whole bunch. It's one of these films where I think the studio reshot
the
half
end
of
was
it.
That ending was reshot. They had to redo the whole thing, and that was what made it in.
Because there was a bit where it was Key. Michael Keegan from Key and Peele.
Keegan Peele.
Yeah,
isn't it? Is it Michael?
It's not Peele, but it was Key. It's the tall guy.
Michael Keegan Key.
Yeah, the non-director one. There was a whole bit he was saying where they all these predators turn up and they team up with the predators and they get on a tank and they're like fighting with a tank and stuff. And there was stuff in the trailer and pictures of all this stuff. None of that's in the film. None of that's in the film.
Is it the one where one of the SAS guys has got Tourette's?
Yes.
Imagine having somebody on a secret SAS squad that's got Tourette's, and at one point they're sneaking up on somebody, and he just shouts because he's Tourette's, and then they find out
spits or something, isn't it? Or has a tick.
And he go, so he's on your SAS, ultra secret, and he goes, fuck when it's quiet, and then the aliens just sort of turn and go, what the fuck's there? Why would you have him on your fucking team? Somebody that screams out for no fucking reason.
Also, it had they clunkily edited one scene because the director's friend got convicted of
the paedophile thing. Yeah.
Yes, of child abuse.
Sorry, what now?
Yeah, there was a scene in it. The director's friend was in a scene. He's an actor. I can't remember his name, but I think I've seen him in a couple of things here and there. And he. They filmed this scene with him, and it was kind of an important exposition scene, and it's very clumsily edited because they edited him out because before the release, he was convicted of child abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It's such a weird film.
If you just put predators, child abuse,
maybe don't Google that.
Oh right, yeah, not predators. Yeah,
maybe don't put that in good controversy.
No, the movie predators. Yeah, the Predator movie.
Yeah, the Predator.
Don't just put sexual perverts and predators.
Accusations or something. I don't know.
So, oh my god. Controversy. Stephen Wilder, someone known as Stephen Wilder, for a minor role. He'd been in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
I think that was him. Yeah, I think that was him.
Oh, this is not good.
Because he's Shane Black. He's Shane Black. He's friends with Shane Black. Shane Black
did try and defend him a bit, didn't he? Shane Black?
But this wasn't while the film happened. Wilder has been a registered felony sex offender since 2010.
Oh shit!
When he
really?
Pleaded guilty to I'm going by Wikipedia here, but whatever. Enticing a minor by computer after he attempted to lure a 14-year-old girl into a sexual relationship via email. A few days before the film was finished, Olivia Munn, who I haven't seen the film, but I remember I think I saw her in the trailer. Is she in it? Is that right?
Yeah. She's the lady in it.
She's the lady. Excellent.
Well, there's a lady in it. She's the lady in it.
So these are fully fleshed out and memorable characters, then, are they?
Yeah.
Became aware of Wilder's history and approached Fox executives insisting that the scene be removed.
That was it.
But the thing was, he doesn't have to have a criminal record to. I mean, they don't check your criminal record when you're making films. That's the thing. So he was a registered sex offender. So say, well, he hasn't.
Surely they would. But surely they would check you for.
No, I think they're SAG.
I suppose maybe if he's really they don't.
No, I don't think so. No.
But he's on a film. He's on a film with a child. No.
There's a child that's the problem.
Oh shit! He might have had to disclose that. Yeah.
I would think you would have to, even if you're not.
Maybe he had to disclose, but they didn't have to check. I would think.
You think for insurance this would come up, like you're doing background checks.
But was he on set with the kid? It might have been that. He's not on set with the kid.
I mean, yeah, but like
he's in a film. He might not have never met the kid. You know what I mean? It might be that.
He might not separate days, whatever. I know, but like, yeah.
Plus,
maybe just don't employ a paedophile. Then you don't have to worry about whether he's in proximity.
I said if the director's your mate, then it's a bit
would you be mates with someone who's a paedophile? Like you'd
he is.
Friends.
Well, he is. So
no, but I'm saying, that's just.
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you would forgive friends, most crimes. I think
people rationalise things. You got abusive relationships going on where people rationalise things. He's just thinking, well, he didn't do this. He's probably lied to his mate as well. Well, he doesn't know all the facts. I got done. It was nothing. I was just looking at something, and now I'm this. Oh, well, that's all right then. You know what I mean? It's
talking about abusive relationships. Segue.
Oh God.
Johnny Depp.
Well, oh yes. What was the thing with that? I thought that quieted down.
It's because he's suing the Sun newspaper, isn't it?
So what? Why is that? Yeah. So what was the thing there? She was beating him up or something, wasn't it?
It started that he was alleged to have assaulted her. I believe there is even a picture of her with a black eye. I mean, not like we need categorical proof or we're not believing anything, but
no, but there was that recording as well that went round, wasn't it? That video recording and some audio recordings of them arguing.
Oh, I don't know about
stuff.
That.
Yeah, I have. I've watched it. It's they're both just drunk, shouting and carrying on. And stuff. You know, it seemed to me that they were in quite a toxic, violent relationship. I'm not going to say who was worse or not, or justify what he did or said, but it seems to be that they were both kind of.
So what's in the Sun? Why is it coming up again now then?
I think because the Sun referred to him as a wife beater in a headline, I believe, because he's in or was cast and continues to be in the Harry Potter. So they've done some Harry Potter spin-off films, Fantastic Beasts, sort of like a prequel series. And he's cast as the main villain in that. And I think he was in the first film anyway. And then I believe the allegations come out, if my memory is correct on the timeline, but they continued.
Just about. I think they shot it, and as it was being released, I think that it was those allegations came.
And so there were some people saying he shouldn't be in the second one because of the fact he's beating up his wife.
And he was played by a different character, I think, wasn't it?
It was Colin Farrell, and then it turned out he was just again. We just sound like we're just chatting absolutely.
But he's been accused of it. He's not. He's not actually been done with the crime. He's been accused of it.
I think they settled. I believe they've settled. So, for example,
it was the divorce. I think it was in the divorce proceedings, and that was legally kind of in the. Ticked off on or whatever in the divorce proceedings. So I think
all that settlement thing, that's a very odd thing to have in court. Like a settlement was made. You go, well, so you got.
But sometimes
off.
I mean, some they. I mean, again, I'm using the generalized they, but often you'll find in things like this, not necessarily with domestic abuse cases, but sometimes you go, why would you make that? Like when it says, oh, this. I'm trying to think of an example here now. Like John Travolta, everyone always comes after John Travolta saying that he's gay or that he touched their bum and stuff, and every time they've always refuted it. And you go, well, if it's so easy to prove it was a lie, why did they bother doing it? And the reasoning is that John Travolta would. I'm only saying John Travolta because I can remember a couple of instances where people tried to say he touched them, and there was demonstrable proof that they weren't even in the same room or in the same country when this stuff happened. But it's the idea is but that's the point, is that these people, those who do make up bullshit, are just hoping for go away money. They're hoping for a settlement. They're going to say, I demand 10 million, knowing that they'll probably take 10 grand. Exactly, just to shut the fuck up and settle out of court.
But then there needs to be a crime that's associated.
I agree.
You can't have this paying off people, because that means there's going to be a second law for people that are rich that can go, well, here's some money, go away. No, there's a court case going on.
But that's hello, welcome to the world. Rich people get away with shit, don't they?
Back to it again, back to the old fucking thing.
But it was like, it was like that. There was that, I can't remember what, he went to an Ivy League school or was going to go to an Ivy League school, and he'd raped a woman. And the judge's ruling was that, but he's a good guy, and he's got a bright young future, and I can't mess with that. And the guy, and he got a couple of months, and I think that judge got basically fired in review because everyone went, you should not be trying cases.
Do you remember that one in England with the woman in at Oxford? She was studying to be a doctor.
Oh,
she was planning on being a surgeon.
Year or something.
Year or two ago. And
then she glassed the guy. Glassed the fellow.
She stabbed him. She stabbed her boyfriend.
Yes, now that rings a bell, yes.
While she was high as well. She'd been she had a history of doing a lot of drugs, and she'd beating up her boyfriend. She stabbed him at one point, and she got arrested and was in court for this, and the judge let her off. I don't know if that went on appeal again, but the judge let her off because they said that she was a bloody good person. She came from a wonderful family, and it would ruin her life and her career, and a prison would be unpleasant.
Imagine if you just got brought out the honesty and said, right, look, we was going to let him off, but look, he's on a building site. He's got nothing to live for. So let's just bung him away. I mean, it's basically that, the opposite. It's literally that.
So we'll look up the chap I mentioned a moment ago, just for the purposes of balance. But yes, so the judge in this instance, this is Woodward. This lady's name is Lavinia Woodward. Judge Pringle said she was an extraordinary, I know, ridiculous, but I mean, obviously this is a horrible story, an extraordinary able young lady, and that a custodial sentence would damage her hopes of becoming a surgeon.
So I'd like to see that if it was a young black guy who worked at KFC.
That's life, buff. I mean, in America, that's very common. There was even recently a screenshot of two people, same day, exact same crime. One was given something like 18 years. I think they were even similar ages. One was given 18 years. One was given a couple of months. Could you imagine? I'm just going to ask you to guess. And, it sounds like we're being flippant. We are, but it's just because it's so horrifying. Can you guess what the difference is between these two people?
Yeah.
We don't even need to say, do we?
It's even been, this is empirically been proven in a bunch of studies, sociological studies, and that this is one of the complaints of Black Lives Matter movement, is that the judicial system does. There is institutional racism because the judicial system does put longer sentences for similar crimes on Black people, also for people who are darker skinned as well. Like the dark, like
basically
even, like,
whatever the media has trained them into thinking are the bad people. They've already come with preconditions about who's bad and who's good.
Yeah. And there's all those studies about juries. They do these jury studies where they have fake juries, and then they give them all this information, and they say, do you think that this guy's guilty? This guy's guilty, or this guy? What do you think? Do you think that this guy should be? Is this not guilty? And again, even a black jury, even a sample of black jurors will think that the black person is more likely to be guilty. I mean, it is. Yeah,
so that's just again, that's just
that's media. That's media and societal pressure. Yeah, definitely,
Just very briefly, but we will come back to this because there was a news story recently about that. It'd be interesting to talk about. But yes, the person's name was Brock Turner, who sexually assaulted a woman while she was unconscious. And
was he like a frat boy thing? Yeah,
I assume so. Yeah, I mean, he was a student, he was an athlete, but let's not let's not put them all together. So two other students intervened and held him in place, apparently because they'd seen him do it. He was able to post a $150,000 bail, so he was released initially, and he was charged, including attempted rape. Pled not guilty to them all, and he was sentenced to 6 months in jail, followed by 3 years probation.
So he's out in 2 months, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So no time at all. He served 3 months in jail here, it says. And it's just what? You're allowed to like rape people while they're, I mean, not that it matters conscious or unconscious, but
you come back to going, well, yeah, because that's the way the society is. You're going to fix it. We're just going to, don't complain about it, because that is why it is that way. You've got to do something about it. You can't just go, oh, that's shocking. No, it's not shocking at all. That's what happens. That's what goes on.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, again, sort of circling back to what we were saying just a moment ago, that, there was a case in England recently of the sprinter, wasn't it, Bianca Williams and her, I believe, husband or certainly partner, who's a sprinter, Ricardo dos Santos, and they were stopped by police because they were driving a black Mercedes in an area, and they're not resisting arrest. They're saying, why are we being stopped? What are we being stopped for? And they're both, I think he's asked to step outside of the car. She's told about they've got a child in the background. Now, the original reasoning is that they were on the wrong side of the road.
Quite a young child, I do believe.
Yeah, baby, well. You're a wrong side of the road. I believe that was the incident, but they were saying that the reason there was a lot of police in the area, not that they were tracking this one particular car, but because there'd been a spate of robberies. And they're saying, or is it because we're black people driving a nice car? And it's just odd.
They said gang activity, I think. They said suspected gang activity.
But you look at that and you go, well, here's a man and a woman with their baby. They're probably not involved in whatever's going on in terms of gang activity.
Yeah.
Fair enough if they were on the wrong side of the road. But but why is he being asked to step out the car? What's those two? Because I don't really, I can drive, but I don't. But I've been in cars where police have pulled, aside. I was in a car, I was thinking about this recently. I was in a car, this is a couple of years back. But the car pulled along, police car. We weren't asked to step out. They just said,
the America's different because you've got the gun.
No,
thing.
This is England. This is England.
This is in England. This happened.
Yeah,
they were two Olympic athletes as well.
Yeah,
right.
Which made it worse. I mean, only because you just go great. So because it's not saying, oh, you're a sportsman, you're better, but there's always something held up about Olympic athletes, isn't it? But it's just you watch the video and you say, I'm not entirely sure that any of this was necessary. Wouldn't you just? I mean, again, we're three white people. This is probably not ever. I don't know about you, Theo. This has never happened to me, Charles. I've never been. Yeah, I've been in cars where the police have sort of, but they usually just say they might ask for your ID and that's it. And then they'll check it.
I'll get onto that, but I've been stopped and searched quite a few times. I'm stopped and searched illegally quite a few times as well, but I'll get into that in a sec.
I've been strip searching the back of the van, and I told the guy I'm not taking my clothes off, and he started shouting at me, "Get your fucking clothes off!" So to take all my clothes off in the back of a van.
Really? Fuck,
yeah, they go fuck.
Was it a police van or just
a police van?
Oh,
some
okay.
lad told you to get in the van and get naked. You're like, all right,
such a very hairy man.
Right, we've got in soon. So go on.
In this thing with the two athletes is that they were there for 45 minutes. And the police wouldn't let it go. That was the thing for me, is that they called more officers, and they had like a van load. I think there was 10 officers by the end. I think they might have had a sniffer dog as well. And they searched the car, and they kept searching the car because they just wouldn't let it go. And it was obvious that this family didn't have any drugs on them, didn't have a weapon on them. They kept saying, "Look, we're Olympic athletes. We're just on, we're just going home with our baby." Like, we're not doing anything wrong here, and they just wouldn't let it go. They compounded the error. I mean, you stop, and you go, "All right, sorry," and you run away.
But I've always heard that the thing is, if the police, particularly if they start being aggressive, and again, we're not tarring all police with the brass, but in any organisation, there's going to be bad guys, even if they're meant to be the good guys, and obviously we hold the police to a higher standard. It's just, if they're on one and they want to have a go at you, you just have to, a friend of mine, I won't say his name, it's not my story to tell, but he's black, he's tall, but he's got he's well built, very tall black guy. And I jokingly said to him, I was like, "How many?" I was like, you get stopped all the time, I bet, because he's got a nice car. I mean, I say jokingly. Well, we were just chatting about it, and he's just like, "Yeah, all the time." He goes, "I'm just used to it now." I was like, "Do you even know how many?" No, and he just goes, "I just go for it. I know the things to say. I know because he goes, if I fight, if I try and resist anything, if I get cross, if I lose my temper, I'm just going to get."
They're waiting. They want you to do something wrong.
So he says, I don't even act. I just totally neutral. I don't act like I'm trying to be overly helpful, because then they'll say I'm trying to be funny or smug. I just slip into neutral. Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir. Yeah. It's appalling, but he just that's how I've had to live my life.
That's how you deal with the that's my top tip, is that you don't be overly friendly, don't get into conversation, just answer what you have, give the minimum of what you have to. That's it.
This is to protect and serve people.
It's a shame. It's a shame. I remember going to see one of the Olympic events, and there was this weird. Everyone was just in this holly jolly atmosphere, even the police. And we just said, because everyone everywhere was doing the Usain Bolt, the pose like that. Everyone that became. And we said to the police, "Oh, could we do a pose?" And they totally did it. And you go, okay, so it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the other side of that. It doesn't have to be because this imagined answering back, which I think is what that he was just saying, "What have I done? I haven't done anything. Why do you need to search me? Why do you need to do this? He's questioning them?" And it's like, you're not allowed to question us. They don't say that, but that's their response.
He's been doing it about 5 years, and he doesn't like it. He says, because you're not solving any crime. He said that forget that. He said, you're just running from one place to the next and taking statements. That's all you're doing. He said, I said, "Oh, so what do you do about the mobile phone thing?" This is when the band came in. He said, "I just sort of knock on people's windows, or I let them see me and tell them to put the phone down." And he said, "There's a bloke he works with, this old bloke. He's a fucking arsehole." He said, he's looking for little things for people to do just so we can get out and get the ticket. And I thought, oh, there you go. That's a perfect model of, like, some people are just cunts and some people are fucking nice people.
Yeah.
He was annoyed that it didn't solve anything. He said, "I just run from one thing, and while you're trying to be empathetic and taking a statement, the radio's going that you've now got to run off somewhere else, and that you can't." Sorry, Charles, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I'm not one of these kind of fuck the police people.
No, not at all. But
because there are, as I said, there's some shitty people. There's some all right ones. Like I remember I was in Paddington Station quite a few years ago.
Oh God, now this guy
3 or 4 years ago.
It's always station.
Yeah. It was late at night, and there was this dude, and he was homeless, I think, and he was sort of wearing camo stuff and a bit dirty, and had a big bag with him. And like this policeman was telling him to clear off and get out of it, and and he was like, "All right," and he's just like, "No, piss off." And this copper was like, "What did you say to me? What the fuck did you say to me?" And he grabbed this dude by his collar and goes, "You told me to fucking piss off, did you?" And he throws him down on the ground. He gets on top of him, pulls his baton out, And it's like, right, you're telling me to piss off. And he's like, about to batter this poor fucking homeless dude who told him to piss off. That's all he said, piss off, right?
So
I was just like,
crack his
okay,
skull.
cool. No, I just go, okay, cool. I stood over him and I pulled my phone out.
Oh, nice.
And then
When
he
was
just
it?
looked up and he just was like, and he just stopped and he just let the guy go. And I was just like, yeah.
Yes, you imagine what they get up to if there's 4 of them in a dark street pulling over a black guy. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
do
do you
Thank
remember
goodness for camera phones?
you remember the Rodney King incident? Do you remember that?
Well, that was filmed on video.
I
Wasn't
mean,
it?
that was just
Yeah, but
murder. That was just
Well,
somebody being pulled-
they were trying to murder him. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
but
he said.
just-
I think he said like, "Oh, I was being an arsehole," but you're like, "Yeah, okay, Rodney, maybe if but that's
But
a savage attack, isn't it?
Yeah.
Somebody's
Because
down.
they
I've got to
surrounded him and stuff. It's crazy.
taking whacks
How
at
many
him.
was
like-
it? Was it 4 guys?
No,
5
it's more
guys?
than that. I think it's like 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was quite
It's
a
just-
few. It's-
But he was
It is
down.
shocking, isn't it?
And they just sort of
it
taking
really
pot
was,
shots
yeah.
at him on the back of the fucking head with a fucking club, just battering on him.
It just felt like, it just seemed like, right, it's free for all, it's one for everyone. Trying to see if I can find the figures. Sorry, I know we're a bit pushed.
And they all
for
got
time.
off, didn't they? Wasn't it? They
Yeah,
all-
well, that was what led to the riots, wasn't it?
It was,
Because
they
4
were all-
officers were tried. Of these, 3 were acquitted, and the jury failed to reach a verdict on the charge for the 4th.
Oh, God.
Were they part of Rampart? Were they
What's
with the
that?
Rampart guys?
I don't know what that means. Sorry.
The
What
Rampart
does
was
the-
like an anti-gang unit in LA during the 90s.
It would surprise me because you're going to have the nutters. They're going to handpick the nutters for that sort of thing.
That's the thing, is they were particularly heavy-handed, and I think that they might have been, or there might have been a separate thing. I can't even remember now. God damn it!
Right, listen, we've got to end. So we've got to get out of it. We'll still get out there racial violence and hatred in
I know.
society.
So it's such a cheerful.
Right, so that's the show. So next week we will be back in the office for the all-new Vialucci podcast that you've all been
Probably.
mate. Yeah. Hashtag probably.
Yeah.
So that's the show. There you go. So play that.
Yeah.
back.
Sorry, you couldn't end on a more cheerful note for you.
Yeah.
For
Well,
everyone.
you've got a nice T-shirt on there, Andrew. What you got? Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
very nice.
Charles has got his hoodie on. He's going all street. Yeah.
It's my Spider-Man hoodie.
Crocodile has
Oh,
got
it's a
its
Spider-Man
mask on.
hoodie.
Oh,
look
there
at
we
that.
go.
That was hiding
Okay.
it. All right, so that's the show. So we will see you next week for the all-new Vialucci podcast.
Awesome.
Hashtag probably.
Cool.
Jinx. Right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.